Hey, how y'all doing? Thank you for choosing the Magnificent Mongo Slave for all of your wrestling content and information. Like, share, and subscribe. Now let's get into the video. April 24th, 2020, Fox Sports wrote an article that said the New Day was WWE's best faction ever. Better than the NWO, better than Evolution, better than the Shield. And I didn't see this. Otherwise, I would have read it and probably laughed at it. But then, I saw it recently, and I just took a moment to sit down and think about it. And I said to myself, well, I probably wouldn't go as far as to say they're the best ever. I may say they're the best since DX. So I'll just stop right there and say they're the best in about 20 years or so. I'm talking about longevity, talking about money made, impact, cultural impact, and you just look at all the body of work of what they've been able to achieve together, then I don't see how you can say that they're not one of the best factions ever. You would just kind of be a hater to say that they aren't. But at the same time, the New Day has gotten incredibly stale, and they have become a security blanket for all three performers involved. Essentially, Xavier Woods and Big E, they don't want to break up. They've said repeatedly in pretty much every interview that they refuse to break up, despite the fact that people are sitting around like Sonic the Hedgehog, tapping their foot and looking at their watch, thinking like, hey, it's been 6 years, they should break up. They're not going to break up. So the state of the New Day apparently has taken a new turn after the July 24th episode of SmackDown. But before we get into that, let's go back a couple of years to the creation of the New Day. So the New Day was created in 2014. I'm not sure whose brainchild it was. I'm not sure if it was The Office or if it was the guys themselves. But The Office pretty much gave them the idea of doing a gospel church-based gimmick. So it was pretty much like Mary Mary or Kirk Franklin, the black church. Had a very gospel Baptist feel to it. And a lot of people said it was stereotypical, but let's be honest. If you're going to do any type of church gimmick, if it's not going to be a black church, what the hell is it going to be? I mean, the black church is just full of characters, and you look at any medium, you see the black church is represented fully. And I'm pretty sure all three of these guys are Christians. I'm not sure if any of them aren't. But in any event, a lot of people were upset about it, and some people were upset about it. I just kind of was like, it's not going to work. And Xavier Woods agreed. He didn't think it was going to work as a babyface gimmick. He took his career in his own hands. He took the risk, went to Vince McMahon and said, if, this is not going to work, we need to turn heel. And I will always respect Xavier Woods for this. And he was told by Vince McMahon himself, they will never boo Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston is the consummate babyface. Nobody will ever boo Kofi Kingston. It won't happen. Xavier Woods said, give me 4 weeks. If I can't make them boo Kofi Kingston in 4 weeks, then fire me and replace me with somebody from NXT. He got his time, and the New Day launched because of Xavier Woods. Now, Xavier Woods is the mastermind of the New Day. To me, if you wanted to have a breakout star of the New Day, Xavier Woods is your guy. Now, there was a time, I think, where Xavier Woods would have been hindered not more by his skin, but more by his size. But, of course, you're in the WWE now where Daniel Bryan could be the champion and Adam Cole could be the champion. Most of those guys are about the same size as Xavier Woods. So if you talk about somebody who's going to be a representative of your company who can go to the Today Show or do Good Morning America or something like that, Xavier Woods is your guy. Now, as far as I'm concerned, they're a little too woke for me. I'm not really into the wokeness or the homoeroticism of the New Day. I'm not a fan of that stuff. But I don't have to in order to, look at their body of work and say that they're good. Now, I do, of those three, of course, Kofi is my favorite. Kofi is the guy. I was a fan of Kofi before the New Day, and Kofi debuted in 06 maybe, 06, 07 or something like that. Around the same time CM Punk debuted. And, he multiple time Intercontinental champion, multiple time United States champion, a guy who kept bumping his head on that glass ceiling, finally broke through in 2019, became the WWE champion. And to be quite honest, that was the ceiling of the New Day. I think a lot of people kind of got tired of the New Day right then and there because the act was already kind of stale going into 2019. But then they got new life when they decided to push Kofi as a solo. The gimmick got a new life. Kofi was now a little bit more serious. He was more direct. He was more personal. He was an agent. He went out there and made things happen. It seemed like something was finally going to change. And this is when a lot of people thought they were going to turn on him. You know, people thought, oh, Kofi's going to win the title, and then Big E's going to turn on him later, and it didn't happen. But I think when they gave Kofi the title, they didn't realize that was like it for the New Day, you know, and they haven't really been. They continue to be popular acts, a popular act, probably one of their most popular acts ever. But a lot of people, the grumbling of people who are unhappy with the New Day kind of continued, and now that we find that Kofi is, you know, a great speaker, the guy's pretty good. He's a pretty good actor. He's not terrible. He's not that great, but he's better than he used to be. And now he's like a really respected veteran. You know, Kofi got the king energy around him all the time. He's like constantly knighting other people and stuff. Like case in point, what he did on the July 24th episode of SmackDown, where he gave that pep talk to Big E. It was a perfect encapsulation of what the New Day is. Kofi was willing to step back and say, no, I'm hurt. Big X is hurt. It's time for you to go do your thing. We believe in you. You believe it. You need to believe in yourself. And, you know, this was a way, of course, of getting Big E to do his own thing without breaking up the New Day. Because it's very cliche as far as WWE is concerned, as far as wrestling is concerned in general, of having somebody turn on somebody else to break the group up. And people will always remember that how the Shield broke up, because, you know, it was impactful. People will always remember the slow dissolution of Evolution, where you had, you know, Triple H eventually getting Rick and Batista to turn on Randy, and then him and Rick kind of scheming against Batista. And then a lot of people forget this was also the very end of Evolution, was the fantastic Ric Flair Triple H feud in 06. I think it was it was 06. It was amazing. Like, that stuff is great, but breaking that stereotype of a tag team has to turn on each other in order for the singles act to move on, as I think it's an interesting dynamic with the New Day, and I actually support it fully. So Big E is going to be the guy now. They've got 6 weeks to do something special with Big E. What are they going to do? I have no idea. I'm going to venture some guesses later. But Big E is a guy who was going nowhere fast. He was on the fast track to being Ezekiel Jackson, to being Ahmed Johnson, just a guy who came out the gate with some steam, won the Intercontinental Championship. Nobody cared. I did enjoy the smoke thing he used to do with the LeBron James gimmick with the smoke. I enjoyed that. But, you know, he didn't really have much to say. He came across like a mini Mark Henry, because he just was Mark Henry. You know, Mark Henry was also a black powerlifter. Big E was a black powerlifter. He did the King Kong Bundy I Need 5 thing, but most people were kind of like, on that. Like, especially on the main roster, it was kind of like, You know, the gear sucks. I'm sorry, but his gear is absolutely terrible. So it was really kind of like he seemed to fit more as being the guy behind the scenes with his arms folded, like Mr. Hughes, with the grimace on his face. It seemed to fit him, and he did that for a while with Dolph Ziggler and all that type of stuff, and it fit. But then, you know, the New Day helped him break out and find his personality, and now you got Big E gyrating all over the place, and he's one of the most charismatic members of the New Day. But in this solo act, are we going to end up in the same situation that we were in with Kofi? In other words, is it going to be that Big E is just not going to change, and he's still going to be doing the twerking and the gyrating on the ropes and unicorn stomping and teal and pink and all that shit? Is he still going to be doing that? Because that's the shit that people are tired of. So now we end up with the situation of how do we push this guy without stripping away what made him popular, or without making him basically a clone of somebody else? Because Keith Lee is already doing the sort of well-spoken black guy, Incredible Hulk thing that they're kind of doing with Keith Lee, where, you know, and I'm not saying you can only have one well-spoken black guy at a time, but I think if you go too far in one direction, then you can have Big E and Keith Lee, and they're pretty much interchangeable. I like for characters to be separate so that you can tell them differently, just even by voice and attitude and everything. So, but you can't keep Big E the same, because Big E, as he is not a main event act. And just like people complained about Kofi Kingston still throwing pancakes at the WWE champion, you really don't want Big E continuing to do the same thing he already does. But if what he's already doing is what people are tired of, I think he needs an individual identity. Now, what does that mean? Is I really don't have any idea. He can go. Of course, he can always go back to his powerlifting thing, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to separate him from his New Day roots too much. But I think that having this opportunity is a good way to individualize Big E as far as separating him from the antics of the New Day in a way, but keeping sort of like maybe if you can meld the New Day Big E with the original Big E Langston Big E into something that's a lot more serious, but still well spoken and comedic, and then we could get something out of there. But if you go too far in one way, then of course you got Big E. I mean, you got Keith Lee. If you go too far the other way, you got stale. I'm tired of this pancakes gyrating Big E. I'm tired of that shit. So there has to be a middle ground. Now, but the bigger problem that I have though is that there are no heels for him to work with other than the two guys who injured Kofi. So Big E can work with Cesaro, he can work with Nakamura, but other than that, who has he got to work with? Braun Strowman is also a babyface. Matt Riddle is working with King Corbin. There are no other high-profile heels on SmackDown other than AJ Styles, and AJ. Well, maybe that's where he goes. Maybe it's Big E and AJ Styles, and Big E becomes the Intercontinental Champion again. I would like that, but people want, kind of like the Naomi situation. It's not enough for you to be just pushed as a single star. You have to go upwards. They want Big E to be the champion. There have been people who have been saying he needs to just take the Money in the Bank off Otis. I have nothing against Otis. I have nothing in favor of Otis either. I think a lot of people are also waiting for the whole Otis and Mandy Rose thing to dissolve, and I think that's actually more likely to happen. Now, what I think what should be more interesting is that maybe Big E turns heel, and Big E starts to cheat, and because things get a little hard for him, and being without his security blanket of the New Day, things kind of get difficult. Yes, and it's weird because Big E's the bigger guy, but I think that it's an interesting story to tell that you turn New Day heel just by Big E turning heel and Kofi and Xavier Woods just basically feeling like we support our boy. If this is what he want to do, this is what we doing. And you could do that and make Big E the top heel. And you could easily have Big E fight Braun Strowman because Big E is big enough to be a physical threat. So maybe that's what you do. Maybe you turn Big E heel and you go back to sort of the heel New Day, but you get rid of all the gyrating. You keep some of the fun stuff about the New Day, but you get rid of all the homoerotic shit. I'm not so sure how it would look, but maybe they're just going to keep Big E as a babyface because he has been established as a very, very well-liked babyface. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.